Okay, so today we're going to start looking at representing mixed numbers with the units of tens, ones, and tenths with number discs on the number line and in expanded form. Now I've got the first one done for us. So if we take a look, we're going to be circling groups of tenths to make as many ones as possible. Okay, so you'll see that we have a group of 10 tenths and another group of 10 tenths, which gives us 10, 20, and then these 8 tenths give us 28 tenths. Now over here we convert our 10 tenths into 1 1. So now again we have our 2 ones and we keep our 8 tenths. So you can see that we have 2 and 8 tenths. Okay, 8 tenths, that means we're 2 tenths away from getting to our next whole number, which in this case would be 3. Okay. Coming down to our next one, we see that we have 33 tenths. We can circle 3 groups of 10 tenths, and we have 3 more after that. So now our 30 tenths can now become 3 ones and 3 tenths left. Okay. Looking at decimal form, we have 3 and 3 tenths after that. So because we have 3 tenths, that means we need 7 more tenths to get to our next whole number, which in this case would be 4. Okay. Now, moving on to the bottom, you can see that we're going to draw number discs to represent using tens, ones, and tenths. We're going to show the expanded form of the number in fraction form and decimal form as shown. And the first one's been done for us. Notice we have to make a little correction down here though. So we have 4 tens, 2 ones, and 6 tenths. Now written as a fraction in expanded form and decimal expanded form, notice our tens and our ones stay basically the same. The difference though is when we get over here and we have tenths as a fraction, tenths as a decimal. So you can see when we combine all of those answers, we get 42 and 6 tenths, written as a fraction and written as a decimal. Moving on to the next one, you can see that we have 1 10, 7 ones, and we have 5 tenths. Okay. So now going through, we have 1 times 10, 7 times 1, which is the same on both. And then we end up with 5 times 1 tenth as a fraction and a decimal. Combining them, you end up with this as your fraction and this as your decimal. Okay. Now moving on to the next page, you'll see 2 more. So starting over here with letter C, notice that we have 2 tens, 3 ones, and then 2 tenths. Okay. Written with our fraction looks like this. 2 times 10, 3 times 1, 2 times 1 tenth. Okay, notice how each of these parentheses is representing a different place value. Okay. We've practiced with tens and ones before. The new part is now the tenths, going to the other side of the decimal point. So now we have 23 and 2 tenths written as a fraction and as a decimal. Coming over to letter D, we have 7 tens, 4 ones, and 7 tenths. So again, as expanded form, the tens and the ones stay the same. And then coming over to our tenths, we just change it from a fraction to a decimal. So we get 74 and 7 tenths as a fraction, and then 74 and 7 tenths as a decimal. Okay. Now, moving on to our chart on the bottom here. We're going to take a number and we're going to represent it a few different ways. We're going to demonstrate what it looks like on the number line. We're going to write it as a decimal, show it as a mixed number. We're going to write it with expanded form, either using a fraction or the decimal. Okay, we're going to do a little bit of both, and then on the homework you can do whichever way you choose. And then we're going to take a look at how many more do we need to get to the next one. So our first one here is we see that we have 3 and 9 tenths. So when I come over here to do my number line, I know that I'm going to be working with the area on the number line between 3 and 4. Now, I have 3 and 9 tenths. So now I can count over from 3, and I can count my tenths until I get to 3 and 9 tenths. Okay, I have 9 tenths past my 3. Written as a decimal form, We know that's 3 and 9/10. Okay. Now, written as expanded form, we can do it either way. In this case, let's do fraction form. So in this case, we have 3 times 1, and then 9 times 1/10, which looks like that. And you can see because we have 9/10, you can see how far away we are from the 4. That means we have 1/10 left to go. Now, our next one, you can notice now they're giving it to us as a number line. We need to fill out the rest of the chart. So you can see that we're dealing with a number between 17 and 18. So that means my whole number is going to be 17. I'm more than 17, but I'm less than 18. So now we're going to count our tenths. So starting at our 17, we can count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, which means we have 5/10. And that looks about right because we're right in the middle of that line. We're halfway between 17 and 5/10. Now, this is where it gets a little bit tricky with our expanded form, because if you notice, we have tens and ones this time. So we're going to do 1 times 10 plus 7 times 1. This is where it gets a little bit tricky, so pay attention to that. So you have 110, 7 ones, and then we can add our 5/10, which looks like that. Now again, since we're at 5/10, that means we're 5/10 away from getting ourselves to the next one, in this case, which would be 18. So we need 5/10 more to get to 18. Moving on to the next one, notice now this time we have our expanded form. So we have to work a little bit backwards. So I can see that I have 7 tens. So I have 70. We have 4 ones. So now that tells us that our whole number is 74. Now looking over here, I have 7 times 1/10. So then that means my fraction is 7/10. Now from here we can really go a few different places. Okay? Let's keep working our way backwards. So written as a decimal, 74 and 7/10 would then look like that. Now going to our number line, we know we're going between 74 and 75. Okay? So now we can count over 7/10. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 gets us our 74 and 7/10. Okay, now for our 7/10, you can notice that we are 3/10 away from getting ourselves to 75. Okay, moving on to the next one, we have 22 and 2/10. We'll do these last two in fraction form. So written as a decimal, it looks like that. And then written as expanded form, notice again, be careful because we have a 2-digit whole number. So we have 2 times 10 plus 2 times 1 plus 2 times 1/10. Okay. And since we have 2/10, that means we are 8/10 away from our next whole number. Now going over to our number line, notice that we have 22. So that means we have 22 to 23 on our number line. Now nice and easy, we can just count over 1, 2/10. Now, looking at our last one, this one gets a little bit tricky, so look very carefully at our expanded form here. Notice what's missing. We have tens, and we have tenths. Well, obviously we're missing our ones, and since it's not listed, that means we have 0. So we actually have 8 tens and 0 ones. Then we have 8/10 after that. Okay, so then written as a decimal, it looks like that, 80 and 8/10. Now coming over here to our number line, we know that we're going between 80 and 81. So now we can count over 8/10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And we can put a big dot right there at 8/10. Now you can see from our number line that we're 2/10 away from getting to 81. So then we can fill in our last column over here. And now our column has been completely filled. So next what I'm going to ask you to do is to please work on the exit ticket. And when you come in tomorrow, we'll take a look at the homework. Please let me know if you have any questions. Please rewatch this video if you're confused about any other part. Thank you.